So I'm reading this book called Plutocrats. Talks just about wealth in America, talks about business people and just the way that wealth has become consolidated and kind of the process of that. She mentions in 1977 there's a public intellectual by the name of Irving Kristol. He wrote an essay. He was a conservative individual. He wrote an essay about the anti-business climate of many of the institutions of the United States. And at that time, it seemed pretty true. Compared to today's standards. The marginal tax rate on top earners at that time was 70%. Capital gains were taxed at a maximum rate of 49%. And Wall Street was constrained by the separation between investment and retail banking with the Glass-Steagall Act. One of the main things that he wrote about was that the goal of corporations should be to promote the survival of the corporation. So he was writing that basically businesses shall pull their money in together in order to promote the survival of corporations in general. And he said that this would definitely involve efforts to shape and reshape the climate of public opinion that was being shaped by intellectuals, so college professors or even a lot of like K through 12 teachers, a lot of journalists at the time. And so he wrote that businesses needed to support those who believed in preserving a strong private sector, and that if business did not support its own intellectuals who boosted up the free market, that they would lose the political and economic wars to the left. And so it was after this time you started to see a pattern of businesses pouring money into think tanks, and you were able to see the creation eventually of the Cato Institute, of Heritage Foundation, of these different conservative think tanks that were promoting free market and promoting business. The book mentions how today a lot of people don't go into the humanities because there's not the same earning potential that exists in businesses. A lot of people get MBAs and go into finance and banking because that's where a lot of the money lies. And so the book's interesting in what it lays out concerning America today. There's some interesting statistics that they talk about. One thing that they talk about when even going into academia said that the intellectuals who earn the highest salaries, there's only 4 main fields where the professors will average at least 6 figures, and those 4 fields are law, engineering, business, and computer science. I talked about how Harvard business professors, they do a lot of like speaking gigs. They'll go and give speeches, especially in emerging markets, so in countries that are transitioning into capitalism. These professors will go and give speeches, and that's kind of the trend that things are going. So those that are leaning towards intellectual fields, they're often wanting to get into those specific assignments. Book also talked about how people with political power are often able to gain enormous wealth. So he quoted a statistic where he said nearly half of the members of Congress, so that's 250 total, they were millionaires in 2010. Their median net worth was $913,000, so that's more than 9 times the national average. So it's going to show that the people that are representing citizens, they are not the average person. They are, at least in terms of net worth, they are quite elite. He said in 2010 there were at least 10 lawmakers that were full-fledged plutocrats with fortunes of more than $100 million. There was an academic study that showed that House members generally beat the market by 5%, and senators that invested, they beat it by about 12%. This could be due to an informational advantage that had existed for a long time until Obama signed laws that forbid insider trading. A lot of politicians, they are able to earn a ton of money after they retire. The Clintons, for example, they earned $111 million between 2000 and 2007. Nearly half of this came from Bill Clinton's speaking fees. It's a great book. I would strongly recommend it to anyone considering. I feel like it definitely helps paint a better picture of wealth in America, of the business class and political class, talks about how there are plutocrats now in all countries that at one point were struggling. Thanks.